2019 turned to be a huge month for Captain Marvel.
Shazam started out as a hero named Captain Marvel before moving to DC.
So we just saw Shazam, and I feel chosen to tell you how good it was. As we'll see in the group discussion coming up, it appears as if DC has finally found its way. With Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and now Shazam, despite the cinematic shark that was Justice League, they're on a streak. Alright. We knew you had it. So let's slip on past the unsettlingly ultra-tight fitting costume Zachary Levi has on and talk about the movie a bit, spoiler-free. First off, holy animal crackers, Batman. Zachary Levi got jacked for this. Perhaps a little foam for good measure, but holy dang, he got Batfleck jacked. We get to follow the little street-savvy Oliver Twist of the DC Universe, Billy Batson, played wonderfully by Asher Angel. After losing his mom, he searches to find his way and ends up inadvertently earning magical gifts from the mysterious wizard, played by Marvel alum Jaimon Hansu, aka Korath from Guardians of the Galaxy, and with the help of his brand new foster family, especially his handicapped sidekick Freddy, played by Jack Dylan Grazer. You remember him as Eddie in It. He learns not only how to use his powers, greatest American hero style, but he learns how to be a true hero and accept the treasure of family. Shazam was like a fun callback to the movie Big with Tom Hanks. If Tom Hanks was a superhero after his change. Okay, come on. Tom Hanks is already sort of a superhero. But the adventure we get to share in this movie, with every step of the origin through the eyes of a child, is a refreshingly new take on a superhero movie, especially for a DC movie that does a fantastic job of making you feel like a kid again. I really love this perspective of a hero movie. We get Mark Strong playing a great villain. You remember him as Merlin from the Kingsman movies, and the mob boss dad in Kick-Ass. He has the best balance between over-the-top and well-acted performance. Pay attention, Nick Cage. Nah, we love your insanity. Keep up that crazy. For the DC comic fans, there's a ton of Easter eggs too. From the reference of the first publisher's name, Fawcett, to the casting of John Glover as Dr. Sivana's father. He also played Lex Luthor's father, Lionel Luthor, on the CW Superman series Smallville. We also get the always fun Cooper Andrews as the foster dad. Walking Dead fans will recognize him as
Jerry!
Yeah, nothing's too dark, nothing's all grim and tense as we've seen from previous DC films thus far. It's like the Ant-Man of the DC universe, I suppose. Light, fun, endearing, doesn't take itself too seriously, and well worth seeing. Maybe we're in store for a new slew of fantastic DC movies. Let's hope so. And if Shazam's any indicator, we are. Shazam comes out April 5th. Make sure you go see it. Hope you have as much fun watching it as we do.
What the hell? Just a middle-aged man with mild alcoholism and social anxiety. And a stupid beard.
We're back. We're here for Shazam! And Dan is enjoying another hot whip brought to us by Buried Acorn. Thanks, guys. We got a chance to see an early screening of Shazam. Comes out April 5th, and I really liked it. I thought this was great.
Me too. Love that.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Finally, DC has a really fun movie.
Yes.
It seems like they're really back on track now.
I liked it too. It's honestly, it's a great family movie.
They had a little rough start there with their creation of their universe.
Very rough. But I think everything now is working. Well, it's not really working. They're working in the visual layer.
Yes. The idea is that they're taking on independent storylines, unlike the MCU,
Right.
where it's individual storylines interwoven to create a central story.
Right. We've got more of a, independent characters that, we may see down the line cross paths, but, if you don't establish that overall give a shit about those characters to start off with,
Yeah.
You're not going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. It's its own thing. I don't have to worry about this setting up for another movie, or I have to watch a movie to understand this movie.
Yeah, I get it. I kind of like the idea that everything kind of shares the world and things kind of bump up against each other like the MCU does. But this can work as well. I mean, there was a lot of references throughout the whole movie to the universe.
Right.
It just didn't depend on any of the other movies.
Right. You didn't need to know
Yeah.
what happened in Aquaman to pay attention to what's going on in Shazam.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
refreshing.
Yeah, it was nice. Movie opened up with a lot of heart. I love the idea that we're taking a hero from the perspective of a kid. This is very kid oriented. So this is great for parents. Bring your kids. It's like if the movie Big
was a superhero movie, and they make a reference to that
With the
later
piano.
With the piano, yeah.
Yep.
It was such a cool moment. I loved it because I've been calling this basically a superhero big. It was just such a cool moment to have them kind of reference that, touch on that big moment with the piano.
Right.
I loved it. It was great. But yeah, I mean, taking a lighthearted run at a superhero movie is probably the best thing DC's been doing. They did it with Aquaman.
Yep.
They're doing it with Shazam.
Yeah.
That dark, gritty world that they thought they had to make, you know,
Right.
I don't think it was working.
Right. Well, it only works with certain characters.
It works with Batman.
That was
Definitely works with
yeah.
Batman.
It worked with Batman, but like Superman, not so much.
Well, I mean, I've always been a more Marvel person rather than DC as far as comics go. And for me, Marvel, as far as comics go, was a little more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I always had a hard time getting into DC comics. They had characters like Mirror Master. It's just silly.
Right.
I just had a hard time with the silliness of a lot of the DC
I think
characters.
it's nice that they're embracing the silliness.
But that's what I mean.
Aquaman, it's great. It's a ridiculous movie, but I had fun the whole time.
Yeah, you like the Jason Momoa.
Everyone likes him. Everyone likes him.
Yeah.
It's great.
But yeah, I mean, like going at it from a more lighthearted direction than trying to be gritty. I mean, I understand why sometimes, because DC needs to kind of more legitimize itself because of the silliness that it sometimes takes
Right.
on.
Yep.
You know, the grittiness kind of helps ground it a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Where Marvel doesn't need to do that. You know, with especially like people like X-Men were mutants. There's the explanation for the powers.
Right.
And then they take on, you know, social issues like racism. DC was always kind of too silly
Right.
for me to kind of really, I just, even as a kid, it was just like,
Mhm.
come on, man.
Yeah. Like as like for me growing up, it was weird because like I love the Marvel heroes because they're all more grounded, but I've always liked DC villains better,
Yeah.
except for this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not
Really? I
did not like the villain at
I
all.
like them. He is like, you know, they both have family issues. Billy is abandoned by the mother.
Mhm.
You know, he had not approved by his
Right.
father, so he struggled with that. He's like, you know, a little boy that never really grow up, and he, you know, proved
Like
he's
most boys.
right.
Yeah.
And now he's, you know, fighting for the bad guys. But he still, I feel like I kind of understand where he's coming from. I never really hated him. And the casting's great.
I liked who they cast for it. I just didn't like the character itself. I think
Let's
that's
talk
the
about
issue.
the cast for a second, because I just want to go down this list. Zachary Levi, I just like him as a person.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, I mean, like,
Yeah.
Loved him in Chuck.
Chuck was a great show. He's just such a personable
Yep.
actor. He was also Fandral from Thor,
Yep.
you know, Dark World
Yep.
and Ragnarok. You know, he didn't get a chance to really have a lot of those because he was a replacement.
Right.
But, you know, he was great in that.
Mhm.
Jumped over to the DC world. Same with Jimon Hanso. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, as I tend to do.
He's-
He was the Wizard, and he was originally Korath
He was also in Captain Marvel.
as Korath.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel. Yeah, he was the Wizard.
Interesting side note is that Shazam, when the character was created, started off
Originally
as
was.
called Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it's a great year for Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's Asher Angel, Billy Batson.
Mhm.
Really?
I think did a really good job.
He did a great job. He had a great personality for this kind of subdued, cynical kid.
Yeah.
He's a great orphan.
Yes, but here's my problem. I feel like the Billy and Shazam, the grown up, is two different people.
Yeah, Zachary Levi played Shazam a little more playful.
Yeah.
It was almost like Billy Batson was more cynical and
Yeah.
dark.
I,
But when he became Shazam, he was all bubbly and
Right.
yeah, I don't
Really?
see them as the same person. I like them individually both, but I don't see them as the same person changing
Mhm.
like back and forth.
But I can understand the kid. Again, you got to go from the kid's perspective. You're this cynical kid who's always been alone, and now suddenly, boom, you've got all these powers. Now you're a grown man and you can fly.
Maybe like there should be a transition. Maybe like I feel like maybe the kid needs to be slightly more upbeat, and the adult should be.
But what I'm saying is, you got to understand from the kid's perspective. He's cynical and he's dark, and now he's got all these powers, so he's excited. He's happy. He's gleeful about being a superhero.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
When you feel like the whole world is against you, and then suddenly you wake up and you're literally a superhero, you're going to be in a better mood. But I understand what you're saying. They
Yeah.
did kind of have a little
Personality
different take
was-
on the same character.
Yeah.
Because essentially, they're the same character.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's also like the for when they came up with the name Shazam, like each letter corresponds to a different Roman god,
Oh.
and so and
Really?
one of them is one of the gods. Well, one of the A's is Achilles, and the power from that is the indomitable will. So I think with that you're going to get more of a hero persona, hero
Oh, I see.
feeling to it.
So
So
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Interesting. Well, okay.
The crippled kid, that's all.
The disabled boy,
Yeah.
yeah. Jack Dylan Grazer. We also might have recognized him from It. He plays a young Eddie.
Oh.
He plays the foster brother Freddie,
Mhm.
and he did an amazing job.
Yep. I liked his character a lot.
Yeah.
He was such a likable kid. I mean, like, you really get an actor who can kind of feel their character's background and how they would exude
Yes.
the personality of that character. He did such a great job.
His first line, what was that? He said something weird, the fact, when he was introduced to the
Oh yeah, the
lady.
Romans used to brush their teeth
Yes,
with urine.
that introduction was great. I loved it.
Yeah,
Right off the bat, I liked
right
it.
off the bat, it was so good.
Hey, this job's due today, and your job depends on it.
I can't take this stress anymore. Shazam!
Ha ha ha! I'm free! Ah, suckers!
Who else you got? Oh, and the villain that you liked for Dr. Savannah, Mark Strong.
Mark Strong.
That guy, the actor, is great.
Yeah.
I mean, he was also the bad guy, the father gangster in Kick-Ass.
Yep. He was in
Kingsman.
Kingsman also.
Yeah.
He played Merlin.
Yeah, he was great.
He's a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff.
He's a great actor. He's a likable guy, so he's a good
Mhm.
pick for a villain.
Yeah.
Right.
You pick a likable actor for a
I
villain
know.
character, and you start to actually
Yeah.
voluntarily embrace the villain
Yeah.
a little more.
It's when he showed up, like when the elevator door opened, with him with the glasses walking to his father's boardroom. I laughed a little
Mhm.
bit because he had just a so ridiculous look with that
The
leather
fur,
suit.
total
fur trim.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like if villains had a store to go to buy their outfits,
Right.
he went and shopped.
I know.
The Complete Idiot's Guide to
Yes.
Villainy.
Yeah.
Step
Oh,
one,
how
fur
ridiculous.
trimmed coat.
And I have to say, Faith Herman plays Darla, the foster daughter.
Aw.
Faith, if you're an actual orphan, I will adopt you. She was so adorable.
So cute.
Oh my
I love
God.
her. The hair.
I wanted more scenes with her.
I also like the foster dad. I don't know what his
Jerry.
Yes, Jerry from Walking Dead. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, that's Cooper Andrews,
Yeah. He
Like
was
foster-
awesome.
foster father of Victor.
Yeah. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was great.
To my knowledge, this is probably the only movie that I've seen where they actually portray foster families and group homes in a positive light.
Exactly.
I know.
Yeah.
Never seen it before, and it works so well.
And they get in the background of the foster parents pretty
Yeah.
good too. That they
Yeah, they
were foster kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of gave them more of a mission statement, you know.
Mhm.
Yes.
We're a family, and we used to be foster kids. We know what you're going through, so we're gonna give you someplace good to be.
Right.
Because they had so many great themes about
Yes.
family.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mention the setting for the foster home, that giant house.
Mhm.
I loved it. And when the villain guy showed up at the end, where I thought he was gonna destroy the home, I was like, please don't destroy the sets, because I loved it.
She's
That
in
house.
real estate.
It was beautiful. Like, the house was giant. It was a giant house. It felt so homey.
It reminded me of the house from the TV show Charmed.
Oh.
The sense of family that you got, and with all those scenes, it was really, really portrayed very well. And I think that was kind of one of the central themes throughout the whole movie. Family.
Is not who you're born to. It's where
It's
it's
not
where
always
you
blood.
Right. It's your home is where you call home.
Where you place your heart.
Right.
The innocence versus evil,
Mhm.
especially like with Billy and his mom. The whole idea of, I mean, this is great for kids too, really young kids looking at superhero movies. You know, the feeling of being lost and on your own, and that drive to find your way in this world. They did a really good job with that. I mean, it was a little heavy-handed with the compass. It was
Yeah.
really nice. It was very sweet. It was sweet.
Yeah, before I saw the movie, I only seen a couple of trailers. I kind of expected it to suck a little bit. Well, it was from DC, and they have been so terrible for
They
so
have not been
long.
great.
Right? I saw the trailer, I was like, this is going to be them trying too hard to be funny.
I was
That's-
actually in the same boat.
Yeah.
That's what I expected. I wanted to see the movie. It was well-rounded.
It was one of my concerns with this movie. It kind of reminded me of what they did with Thor Ragnarok. I love that movie, but it's almost like it was trying to be too funny.
Right.
It didn't take itself serious enough.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It just spent 2 hours poking fun at itself.
Right.
It ended up being fun, and Thor being one of those cosmic characters,
Mhm.
it's probably good to loosen up a bit on the character.
Right.
But I think that was a good idea for Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with magic and being chosen. And it's a little boy. There are no adults except for the bad guy. It's the kids.
Good.
Even towards the end, where he incorporates his foster brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
They're still kids.
Yeah.
It's
The adult casting of all the kids was great. I
Yeah.
feel like they all matched pretty well.
Yeah, it was great. DC's finally getting it right. They have Suicide Squad. Didn't do very well.
Terrible.
It was just goofy. It's just goofiness. I'm sorry.
It wasn't even goofy and fun. I felt like that movie had pacing issues because I wanted to see that movie. There were parts that were just bored.
It was pacing and editing.
Jared Leto had no business being the Joker.
No, that's true.
Not even a little bit.
I gotta say, I was one of those people against the Batfleck, but as long as he played that single note of being the angry, older, more bitter Bruce Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
I think he did a great job.
Yeah, I
When
love
he-
him as Bruce Wayne.
When he doesn't try to emote,
Right.
he's dead on. So keeping with that, I did not discount Jared Leto, but when I saw it, it wasn't great. There was a scene in Suicide Squad where he's on the plane where he says something about a doctor. You can tell that he was doing it in a voice.
Yeah.
It just didn't come off well. So Suicide Squad, not a strong movie. Batman versus Superman.
Did we just become? Wait, your mom's first name's Martha. My mom's name's Martha. Did we just become best friends? Yup.
Justice League was a mess.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even watch that.
It was just, it had so many problems, and they tried to reel in Joss Whedon, try to fix it, and even Joss,
Yeah.
even Joss,
In Joss we trust.
even Joss couldn't bring it together.
Yeah.
It had all of the ingredients to make a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Justice League for crying out loud.
Okay.
And they couldn't get it to work. I don't know what the hell's going on towards the end with the jelly
No, it
desert.
was jelly.
I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter what it was.
As long as it was silly and fun, I can take like Aquaman. It was kind of silly, but I had a great time.
Exactly,
Right.
Aquaman.
But it was silly and fun.
Yes.
They lightened up with Aquaman. They had a little more fun with it. They had the benefit of a hot ass Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa, if you're watching.
Also, I felt like with I'm not saying that Aquaman is a great movie, but I just had fun watching it. I probably won't watch it again. But the first time I watched it, it was like I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's coming next.
Right.
There's always an element of surprise there.
Well, that was kind of one of the benefits of Shazam for me. Again, being a Marvel person going to a DC movie, I know who Shazam is. I got a general background on him.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike a lot of the Marvel characters, I can walk into a DC movie and not have a high standard of expectations.
Right. You don't have that. You don't have that existing prejudice.
Yeah.
No,
I walk in DC, you got a blank check, baby.
And also, I like that it doesn't carry the burden to be part of a universe and then setting up for other movies,
Yeah.
right? And having to like tell stories that
Mhm.
continue to tell stories of the movies before. It's just
Yeah.
like, but it's one shot. It's great.
It's the responsibility that Marvel carries where each movie can tell its own story, but
Yeah.
a good portion of it has to interlock
Right.
with the
Yeah.
overarching universe that it
Mhm.
lives in.
I was getting a slight superhero fatigue. I felt like so many years of so many superhero movies. It's
Honestly-
getting a little tired.
Honestly, it is getting a little thin. There are a large number of superhero movies coming out every year.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
I understand the fatigue of superhero movies. I'm also not ready to let them go. So,
Yeah. No, they've been making him. They've been doing good with them.
making billions of dollars.
Yeah.
No, well, the thing is, they have been changing. One of the things I love about this movie is not world ending. You know,
Yeah.
the supervillain just wants the power.
He just wants the
give
power,
me
yeah.
your power. That's all I want. You know, I destroyed a mall. I destroyed some windows. I destroyed a carnival. That's it.
Every superhero doesn't have to destroy the world,
Yeah.
right? Why do you need to destroy a
Right?
world?
Like,
Where are you going to keep your stuff?
And I love the little at the very end when the seven deadly sin monsters was holding the foster kids, and I think one of the monsters was holding a little girl, and then Billy just shouted no, and then the monster actually let go. He was like, sorry, I'm not gonna destroy this little girl.
The tentpole hero movies for DC that you expect to be doing very well,
Or not.
the Batman vs Superman, the Man of Steel, they're not doing great. But the heroes in the periphery are doing really well. You know, those sideline characters that you wouldn't expect to be doing great. Aquaman is suddenly a badass. I mean,
Well, do you think that could be related to the fact that most people don't really follow Shazam comics
Yeah.
or don't follow Aquaman comics, so they don't have to worry about,
I don't know.
oh my god, if we, made Batman, a different character, we're not going to have riots coming after us.
Maybe. That might be part of
I
it.
think they've got more poetic license with a lesser known. I mean, Aquaman's a well-known character, but nobody gave a shit about him.
Yeah.
No. I mean, we can't discount Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a
Right.
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Although I didn't like the very end of it. She gets all cheesy.
Oh, yes.
Love.
No!
It was like, it was 100% for me right up until love, and then I was like, oh, you ruined it. You ruined it.
Right.
You had to be that. I love the fact that they're kind of doing a little more lighthearted attack, and it's working out for them great. I also really like the idea of power earned rather than power taken. I mean, the whole idea for Shazam is that he's searching for somebody worthy, pure of spirit, that he can give his power to. And he doesn't give it to Savannah, which starts his lifelong quest to get that power. He has a sense of entitlement. He deserves it. Why am I not so worthy? Who are you to tell me that I'm not? And that's his entire MO throughout the whole movie is I'm going to take this.
Mhm.
You don't get to tell me no. And Billy's reluctant when confronted with the idea of being given all this power. He even tells the wizard, I'm not that good of a kid. That was kind of really nice. The humility of a child. And you can always fall back on the idea of you being so humble is what makes you worthy of this power.
I have a slight question. Like at the beginning of the movie, a lot of people seeing the door opening up to them. Is it the wizard just trying? Like, is this person worthy? Nope. Back you go. Is that what it is?
I think, again, not being a huge DC fan, I should say not being a huge DC reader, I'm a fan of a lot of the things that DC puts out. I think that's more interpretive doors to different worlds, because remember when they opened the door, you saw like alligators at a table, and then some sort of alien monster thing reaching out. So it wasn't really doors to potential people per se. I mean, maybe it was. Maybe
There's a lot of doors there.
Maybe that it wasn't just humans that he was offering this power to. Maybe it was different dimensions and worlds that he was offering this power to.
Because I always thought Billy got chosen because the wizard was desperate. It was like, I need
It
someone.
kind of felt that way, didn't it? Like he
Little
was
bit.
kind of,
Yeah.
he had no time anymore because
Yeah.
Savannah came, he took the power, and he was going out to destroy the world. What was his goal before the wizard chose the champion?
I think he was going to try and take the power from Shazam, or from the original, from the wizard.
Okay.
I think that was the main point of why he went back there. He basically went back to get the power of the seven, the power of the seven, and he was just like, well, you had your chance.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with them.
Yeah.
And he spent his whole life finding them so that he could be like, you know what, I am good enough, and since you're not going to have me, I'm going to side with these guys and fuck you.
The seven demons.
Right.
Yeah. The seven deadly sins.
I definitely agree. I expected Lust to be a lot hotter.
I loved how the movie incorporated itself into the DC universe
Mhm.
without
Yeah.
needing
Yeah.
the DC universe.
Right.
It was referencing a lot of stuff like toys. Kids had toys in
Mhm.
Batman and Superman.
Superman's bullet.
Superman's bullet, retrieved from somebody shooting Superman. He had a collectible Batarang, which was
A replica.
A replica, it wasn't a real thing. But the fact that, if you think about it, if they were really superheroes, that's how the world would embrace the heroes. They would start to monetize
Mhm.
those people, those individuals. They would sell toys based on them.
We already.
Kind of like people who buy movie props.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
you can buy fireman helmets for kids and stuff like that. You got real life heroes like that, and now they're in this movie. There were toys based on the heroes that were set in this real world, and I just love the fact that the movie kind of nodded to the fact those heroes exist in this universe, but didn't rely on them.
Yep, and Superman showed up.
And I love the cameo at the end.
Yeah.
It's
They
not
don't have anyone playing
It's
Superman.
not Henry Cavill, but you just see him from like the collarbone down, which is still good enough because you see
You see the S.
exactly.
That's the important
You
one.
see the costume, you know it's Superman. It was just really cool. I love the fact that it's just it's bringing them in without
Mhm.
needing them.
Yeah.
I just liked all the playful references to the other
Mhm.
characters. It was just really great. It was nice.
Yeah. It didn't take itself too seriously.
No.
That was the.
And they can't, because I can't talk about the approach through a child's eyes enough,
Right.
because it's such a great way to present a superhero. Because kids, more than anybody,
Yeah.
look for a superhero. When you're a kid, you feel helpless. You feel like you don't have the power.
Mhm.
So the idea that this kid gets to be a superhero, and he plays with it at first.
Yes, and not only as kids. I feel like if they're real life superheroes, you find out you have superpowers. The next thing you will do probably is doing all those tests.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what
Yeah.
you're a kid or
Yeah.
adult.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
play around.
Yeah.
You're gonna do dumb stuff before you
So
realize,
it's
wait a
like
second, I need to take this
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah, it's a little audience circuit.
Yeah.
It's
I
nice.
mean, shit. You probably did dumb stuff anyway just to check see if you're a superhero. You can't fly off the top of the stairs.
I did dumb stuff knowing I wasn't a superhero.
But we didn't have YouTube when we were a kid.
Thank God. So the end fight with the villain and Shazam, and then they incorporate the Foster brothers and sisters. I love the idea that he harkens back to what the wizard telling him.
The family, something, the power with family.
Yeah,
He was the last one, and all of his brothers and sisters had fallen, or the rest of the council, I believe is what they called it.
invest your heart in something, and he invested his heart into his new family,
Mm-hmm.
and he got to, and then he shares the power with his family.
Yes.
And they all together took on this evil, and they,
Mhm.
they won, they were successful.
My question, are they all superheroes from now on? Are they all like Shazams?
That's a good question. I kind of had that question.
I think
too.
I think they are. I know in the comic series there is there is the Marvel quote unquote family.
I didn't know about
And
that, but I didn't know about
Freddy
the movie.
actually becomes, I think it's Shazam Jr. or Mr. Captain Marvel Jr. or something like that.
Really?
So
Oh.
he's part of it, and then there's like Uncle Shazam or some shit like that.
It's a little hillbilly there.
It certainly does. He looks like Rip Taylor in tights with a lightning bolt.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do they have different powers? Because I feel like in the movie they all have the same stuff.
I feel like the source of the power is the same, so all their powers would be the same.
I think so.
Yeah. Power Ranger.
Well,
They're
like
like
Power Rangers.
different. What? They're like different color suits, all kind of the same, different colors.
Which is not wrong. I want to talk about the end credit scenes. So, there were two end credit scenes. You got a mid-credit scene and then you got a post-credit scene.
Yep.
So the mid-credit scene, it shows Savan in prison. He's like that crazy guy writing all on the walls. We're very in the mouth of madness.
Yep.
He just cover the walls with the symbols, which to me kind of said he was trying to get out of there
Mhm.
through the use of those magical runes. But then we hear a voice, and we see a little worm. trying to invite him to take back the 7 realms. Now, I had to look this up.
Yeah, I did too.
I see a little worm with a creepy voice, and again, not an avid DC reader. What the fuck's going on? I gotta be scared of a little worm now. Like a little worm.
Yeah, it's what SpongeBob, Adventure Time, all have the tiny villains.
So it turns out this is a character called Mr. Mind.
Yep.
There were a couple different versions of him, but the one that's most current up to date is an alien worm with a superior intellect.
Yep.
And
And telepathic powers and hypnosis and
yeah,
all sorts of weird shit.
a lot of weird shit from a little worm. But he's it looks like he's trying to incorporate Dr. Zavanna and start the Monster Society of Evil.
Wait,
That's my response to most DC stuff.
so does the little worm want to take his body and be like kind of like a mind control worm thing? So
I don't know.
We don't, yeah.
Can't.
No idea.
Wow. Oh, yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. It's definitely very interesting. I mean, I'd watch a movie about that. It's probably going to be really wacky and fun.
So yeah, so now we definitely got a sequel coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great because this movie was so much fun.
Yeah. It'll be successful.
Great pacing too.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of lulls in the movie. Everything kind of bled into the next portion. It was very, this is happening and now this is happening. There wasn't a lot of choppiness to it, which is a lot of the problem that a lot of DC movies have, is the editing and the choppiness and the
Yes.
pacing.
Even Aquaman was weird. They had a whole rom-com sequence in the middle of the movie. Like, it's so weird. This was smooth. The editing was smooth.
Yeah.
The story was smooth. I only think the lighting and the color of the movie could be slightly better. Because Marvel is so, I feel like even
That's because
all
Marvel's got
the
its shit
Marvel
together.
Universe movies, even the colorful ones like Guardians of the Galaxy, looks like it's from the same family. It is so well done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's an actual Infinity Gauntlet and Kevin Feige's wearing it. The after credit scene for Shazam was also pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Did you stay and see that?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of fish to see. You don't need to be alone for
So
it.
I'm just gonna say what happened. See, they're still investigating the Shazam powers, and he's seeing if he can talk to fish. He's trying to understand
Oh my God.
what good the ability to talk to fish would be. Kind of poking at Aquaman a little bit. You know, and Freddy kind of lets him know, you know, you could get an army of fish in the entire ocean. Could be useful. I thought that was great.
I liked it.
This movie is so much fun. Definitely go see it. Shazam! Hey, if you even kind of like this, click subscribe.